Greetings to everybody. We have the sad news of brother Ajay Bhattar from Calcutta passed away. We know the masters are watching over the mission as well as each one of us. After our reading sessions, we will pray for dear brother. That goes to show the importance of every moment in our lives, how we have to dedicate every moment towards the sadhana of and to arrive at those states of being that the great masters are trying to instill in us. We need to be open, we need to meditate more with the transmission. And coming to our reading, I was gathering some thoughts and reading yesterday. In the Kathopanishad, it says that the ultimate knowledge cannot be gained by the intellect. The soul, it cannot be realized by any number of speeches or by intellect or by hearing again and again or by reading again and again. Reality reveals itself to the person whom he chooses. If we think about how does he choose, for he has no discrimination. The master, the divinity, the ultimate doesn't choose. It is a flow. Grace is a flow. He is the flow. It is the state of devotion of the beloved that attracts the divine. And to those he reveals himself. So that is why, whether it's Sage Narada, whether it's Babuji, or whether it's all the great sages, why they talked about the state of devotion as the highest. Even though we need the knowledge, we need to perform action. It is devotion that is the foundation of everything. That is why even people who have no education, know nothing, because of that state of devotion in them, are able to attract the grace of divinity. It is the state of devotion of the beloved that attracts the divine, and divine reveals himself to us. However, the knowledge and action are there to bring us to that state of utmost devotion. So we attract the grace and the gaze of the beloved towards us. And Babuji Maharaj said, when we proceed on the journey with wonder, reality reveals to us. So, in other sense, devotion is a state of wonder too. When we proceed with doubt, reality is denied for us. It is not shown to us. So that is why even if we take the example of the great warrior Arjuna, the most devoted, when his inner eye was open to see the divine Lord, his first state of being was wonder. And wonder accompanies that love and devotion. In the Kenopanishad also it says that reality is denied to one who has an opinion. What does the Kenopanishad says? Reality is denied to one who has an opinion, any opinion. And that is why Daji has been educating us when he states that to cross the third point, you have to let go of the power of opinion. That is why we practice with that technique. This weakness of complaining, blaming, criticizing, stubbornness, judgment, everything is leaving us for good, and I have no attachment to it. This was a technique given by Lalaji Maharaj. And when we practice that kind of technique, our inner being shifts. When we sincerely, prayerfully submit, let these weaknesses leave me for good, I have no attachment to that, we are able to cross that third point, power of opinion. And to cross the fourth point, we need to let go of the choice making ability. And also in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a statement that says, know the ultimate reality only through meditation. And it says that meditation itself is Brahman. Know the reality, ultimate reality through meditation. And meditation itself is Brahman. Brahman is the ultimate. So, how can meditation become Brahman? The act of meditation itself. For this, our great masters have recommended that the master is meditating on himself. So Brahman is meditating on the ultimate. That is why Shiva is meditating on the ultimate. Vishnu is meditating on the ultimate. Lord Krishna is meditating on the ultimate. The masters meditate on the masters themselves. Whomever they have accepted as their guru, they are meditating on that form. So our masters have given us simple techniques to arrive at the state of that feeling. So real darshan is experiencing this inner reality without any intermediate objects. We cannot perceive that divinity with the physical senses. So the rishis of the yore perceived it with, they called it direct perception, darshan, because they were able to see and feel the vibration of the mantras. But we only hear the mantras. That is the difference. People say, I'm used to chanting, I'm used to japa, and they can't let go because they're used to hearing the words with the physical senses. They forgot, and they say that the rishis did it, but they forgot. The rishis did not use the physical senses to perceive these. They, in their deep meditation, when their thought connected with that mantra, they were connecting with the vibration and seeing and feeling the condition of it. And so we arrive at this state of real perception, and that is the true sadhana, and that will allow us to feel Brahman everywhere. That is the topic we are talking from Vinobha Bhave Gita, where he's talking about seeing God in animals and plants, and every animal he is describing. So, arrive at that state of real perception is the true sadhana, which allows us to feel the divine everywhere, and not only in plants and animals, inanimate, animate. And that's why our Babaji Maharaj said, all is Brahman, all is from Brahman. So nature reveals to the being who goes within. So when we follow the experience, knowledge reveals itself. Knowledge happens. It's not the other way around that you learn, you read, and you try to experience. It doesn't happen. The real knowledge is that which reveals the reality. And that's why ordinary people like us also sometimes we have these wow moments where, oh my God, is this what it is? Knowledge is coming from within when the master is taking you and you're sincerely doing the sadhana and making intense practice, like Daji says. And bit by bit, day by day, minute by minute, you're totally focused on that. Then from somewhere the knowledge just reveals itself when you cross, like a mother learning about motherhood by becoming the mother. We learn, we gain knowledge by experiencing the reality. And also coming to this topic about darshana also, to feel the reality, to see the reality. We see master many times, the physical master. How many times have all of us who have been on the path for 40 years, 50 years, physically, how many times we have seen, how many times he said hello to us. We hear many speeches, but we do not grasp the reality behind it. And that's why Babaji said, so many people come to me, but very few see me. Because to see, we not only need clear perception, we need to experience it. We need to experience the presence of the master. We should be able to feel his presence. To feel his presence of that ultimate, we don't need to be in his physical presence. If our inner vision, the capacity with sadhana has been refined, then you perceive the presence every minute. And this is what happened to Mother Radha. How she experienced. She said, I saw him once and his image embedded in every cell of my being. But when Master says she saw Lord Krishna when she was a little boy. So did she remember this little boy's physical image? And she did say that I loved him as my beloved. So what got embedded in her, every cell of her being, every fiber, every nerve, every blood drop, was the sacred condition, the presence of Lord Krishna. It is the divine presence which she perceived because of her refinement of the senses, that clear perception, his presence embedded in her being. And what did she do? She strengthened that, she expanded it, she merged in it. And that is what our beloved Daji continuously talks about, this AEIOU. And this is what AEIOU is. You remember the presence of the Master and you try to feel it, merge with it, become one with it. And the same in Sanskrit, they said Samipyata, Salokyata, Sayujyata. All these states of being, nearness to that ultimate Brahman. So Vinobha Bhave is saying in this book, Talks on Gita, we are finishing the chapter on contemplation of divine manifestations. He says, seeing God in the evil too. To sum up, God is everywhere, the divinity is everywhere in the universe. As holy rivers, high mountains, serene oceans, tender hearted cows, noble horses, majestic lions, sweet voiced cuckoos, beautiful peacocks, clean and solitude loving snakes, crows flapping their wings, the upward rising flames, the still stars, he is pervading the whole creation in different forms. We should train our eyes to see him everywhere, first in simple forms and then in the complex. We should first learn simple letters and then the complex joint letters. Until we learn the joint letters, there is no progress in reading. Unless we are able to see divine manifest in crooked forms, our progress will be hampered. So what happens with this habit of trying to see divinity in others is we stop seeing the faults in others. And that is why Babuji said that when you see something in others, there are times that we just are observing, but if it is disturbing us, it's bothering us, then that a speck of it is still in us, and that is an indication for us to work on upon ourselves, transform ourselves. It should not disturb us. So at every step, we shall come across the joint letters. We shall come across crooked and evil forms every now and then. In the end, we must learn to see divine in them too. Divine in Rama is readily acceptable, but we must also comprehend divinity in Ravana, the evil figure. Divine is in Prahlad is already readily acceptable, but we must also comprehend divinity in the evil Hiranyakashipu. The Vedas have said, salutation to the robber, chieftain, salutation to the cruel and the violent. The robbers, the cruel and the swindlers, all are Brahman. Salutations to them all. What does this mean? This means that after mastering the small letters, we should master the capital letters. After mastering the simple, we should master the complex. Carlyle has written a book on hero worship. Therein he has called Napoleon a hero. God in him is not in a pure form. There is a mixture. But we must discern him there too. That is why Tulasidas has called Ravana, the evil character in Ramayana, as Rama's devotee in opposition. Ravana too is a devotee, albeit of a different type. Fire burns and causes swelling in the burnt part of the body. but the swelling subsides after fermentation, and that is after using a different form of the same element. Different forms of the same element thus do different things. Rama and Ravana are manifestation of one and the only God, although appearances differ. Gross and subtle, simple and complex, small letters and capital letters. Learn everything and realize in the end that there is no place where the divine is not present. That is why that exercise is given to us, to accept everything, everybody, good, bad, is so we develop the capacity, the perception to see that divine manifestation is everywhere. And that is why the masters are in the state of witness. They're not getting involved. If we look at ourselves, something happens in the ashram, we immediately get involved, we get irritated, we get give our opinions. And Daji, if we remember the recent talk, he says no anymore, he's just silent. He's observing. He's not getting involved. He's not telling people what to do. Because the moment you get involved with your creation, then you are a part of that. So, he is present in every atom. He pervades the whole universe. The divine who cares equally for all, who is full of knowledge and wisdom, love, compassion, power, beauty, and holiness, is everywhere, all around us. In one of Lalaji Maharaj's autobiography, I read, he says, meditate with this idea that he knows everything, he sees everything, he listens to everyone, and you are meditating on his presence inside you, and you are crossing all the seven consciousness, seven skies, he calls it, and you are in front of him, you are in front of the divine, and he is meditating on himself, and he knows what is the goal. So it's a beautiful technique. We should read our Lalaji Maharaj's books. And even if we practice those things even for one speck, and he says that is the best form of meditation. I know him whom I am longing for. Think about, I know him whom I am longing for, to whom I want to merge. So the next chapter, chapter 11, is vision of the cosmic form of divinity. Arjuna's eagerness to behold the cosmic form of divine. Brothers, last week we learned how to recognize divine presence in the countless things in this universe and how to let that comprehension sink deep into us. We saw that one should discern divinity step by step, first in the simple and the gross, and then in the complex and the subtle manifestations of the divinity. One should thus see divine everywhere, realize him, and through constant practice, learn to see the whole creation as the self. So, in this process, we correct ourselves moment by moment because we are human, we are ordinary people. We immediately see the person and see the flaws and we try to react. So, we just learn the pause that Master is talking about, step back, and submit that. Even this weakness of mind that I am seeing something in this person, I submit at that feet. Now we turn to the 11th chapter. In this chapter, the divine has showered his highest grace on Arjuna by showing his divine cosmic form. Arjuna had expressed a desire to see the divine in his fullness, in the form in which all his splendor and glory are fully manifest. What Arjuna sought was to behold the cosmic form of the Lord. Our world is only a small part of the universe, and we do not have an adequate understanding of even this small part. In relation to the universe, this world, which appears so vast to us, is quite insignificant. If we look up at the night sky, we see it dotted with innumerable points of light. Do you know the real nature of those festoons of light hung up in the sky? Those lovely little flowers, those millions of twinkling stars. They are actually many times bigger and brighter than the sun, and they are countless. Even the naked eye can see thousands of them. A telescope would reveal them in millions. With an advanced telescope, trillions could be visible. There seems to be no end to them. Our earth is but a tiny fragment of this boundless creation, still we find it vast. That is why our Daji, when he talks about humility, he says true progress is when we realize how small we are. And all of us are realizing it now. When we began our journey in heartfulness, we thought, we are the best, we are the greatest. And as we progress and we look around, as our eyes are opening, you see so many great people have walked this path. In 1940s, Vinobha Bhave is already expressing what we are trying to learn now. So many great beings walked on this earth, walked on this path of self-transformation. We are so minute. This vast creation is but one aspect of the Lord. Another aspect is that of time. If we consider the past, our knowledge of history goes back at most to 10,000 years. Of the future, we know nothing. The span of known history is 10,000 years, and our own lifespan is of hardly 100 years. Time is, in fact, without beginning and without end. It is impossible to count the time that has passed into the past. It is equally impossible to have any idea of the time that is yet to come. Just as our world is insignificant compared to the universe, the 10,000 years of known history are insignificant compared to the infinite time. The past is without a beginning and the future is without an end. As far as the infinitesimal present, it is slipping into the past every moment. That is why our Babaji used the word here and now. Even as we try to point out its present, it has already passed into the past. This fleeting present is all that is with us. I am speaking now, but the moment I utter a word, it becomes a part of the past. The stream of time is flowing continuously. We know neither its beginning nor its end. What comes to our view is just a tiny portion of that stream in the middle. Thus, when we look at the creation, we find a vast expanse of space on one hand, and the other there is flow of time that has neither beginning nor an end. It then becomes clear that howsoever much we stretch our imagination, we can never see the limits of it. In Arjuna's mind arises a desire to have a vision of the Lord in his omnipresence and all-pervading form, the form that fills all the three-dimensional space and all the three-dimensional time. He wants to see him all at once at the same moment. This chapter has its genesis in that desire. Arjuna was very dear to the Lord, so dear that in the 10th chapter, while mentioning different manifestations in which he is to be completed, the Lord has said, among the Pandavas, contemplate me in the form of Arjuna. Can love ever be more crazy? This is the height of madness in love. The Lord's love for Arjuna knew no bounds. The 11th chapter is the blessed gift of that love. The Lord endowed Arjuna with the divine vision and fulfilled his desire to see his cosmic form. This chapter contains the beautiful and the magnificent description of that supreme divine form. However, I am not particularly enamored of it. I am quite happy with the small and lovable form which I see. I have learned to appreciate the beauty therein. The divine is not made up of number of parts. It does not appear to me that what I see is only a part and the rest of him is somewhere else. The divine who pervades the vast universe is present in his fullness in a small image and even in a speck of dust. He is not a bit less there. An ocean of nectar and a drop therein have the same sweetness. I am inclined to enjoy the sweetness in the little drop of nectar that I have got. I have purposefully chosen the example of nectar and not that of milk or water. The sweetness that is in a cup of milk is certainly there in a jar of milk. but the nourishment they provide is not the same. But such is not the case with nectar. Even a drop of nectar will make you immortal. In the same way, the divinity and sanctity that are present in the divine supreme form are there even in a small image. That is why they are recommending us to see divinity everywhere. If I cannot judge the quality of wheat from the sample of a handful of grains, how can I judge its quality from a sackful of it? If I fail to recognize divine in his small form that is before my eyes, how can I recognize him in his cosmic form? Hence, I am not eager to have the vision of his cosmic form, nor am I worthy, like Arjuna, to ask for it. Moreover, what I see is not a part of the cosmic form. We would not have an idea about the whole of a photograph from its fragment. But the divine is not made up of parts. He has not been cut up and divided into fragments. He is fully there even in a small form. What is the difference between a small photograph and its enlarged copy? Everything that is there in the big photograph is there in the small photograph too. The latter is not a fragment of the big photograph. A word may be printed in a big type or small type. This makes no difference as far as its meaning is concerned. We will stop here and continue as we proceed with our meditation. Let us also pray for our dear brother Ajay Bhatta.